Hey, Steve, we're going to see it all over the place from various media outlets. Once the bowl games start to be played and there are winners and losers, there's going to be a tote board of the conferences and the conference standings. How much play do you put in that? How much weight? Obviously, that's the simple way to display and rate the performance, but little is given to who the opponents are. And if you look through Big Ten history in particular, over the last 10 to 15 years, the level of opponents has far exceeded, especially the Big 12, the Pac-12, and the ACC in depth and quality of opponents. And that's, of course, never taken into consideration. It's just, oh, you're 3-5 in bowl play. You're not very good. But what do you take from these bowl games between the Power Fives?
I think the conference supremacy debate is literally the dumbest debate in American sports.
I still love it, though.
I can't imagine there was any St. Louis Cardinal fan out there chanting NL Central while the Cubs were winning the World Series in 2016. Who cares? I mean, and you can chant SEC all you want, but Mississippi State ain't buying any Georgia, Southeastern Georgia playoff shirts. I mean, it's a dumb debate. But while it's a stupid debate, because most of the schedules these teams play are teams in their own conference, it's one we unfortunately have to take a look at the exact same time. So, if you're a Big Ten team, you play 12 games and 9 of them are against each other, then how we think about your conference as a whole does matter quite a bit in assessing what we think about you. When you look at the Big Ten matchups this year, there's only really a couple. There's been a lot of them a lot of years where I've looked at it and thought, boy, on the face of this, I don't like a lot of these matchups. There's really only 2 right now that I think I don't like our chances as a league in that at all. I don't think Purdue's defense has any clue what's about to hit it with the team. I don't. And man, I was begging Joe Boo to not put Michigan in the Holiday Bowl with Arizona, because I did not want to have our DBs turning their backs playing man coverage, trying to catch him in the open field, risk losing that game, and then hear about the narrative of losing to Rich Rod for 6 months. That would have been freaking brutal, okay? So Purdue's going to do it now. Good luck to you with that. The other game I'm concerned about is Wisconsin. I think they're playing Miami in a literal home game for Miami. Miami has been a far different team playing in that stadium than they have been, particularly in prime time, than they have been in any other setting. You throw in the team that leads the nation in turnover creation, and I think the first 10,000 fans, when you look at how turnover-prone Alex Hornibrook is, first 10,000 fans at the Orange Bowl ought to get a turnover chain Alex Hornibrook bobblehead doll. Okay, I think that's a bad matchup for Wisconsin. On the road with a turnover-prone quarterback against a team that feasts off turnovers. I don't like their chances in that one. The rest of them, I think the Big Ten matched up very favorably, depending on where Ohio State is at emotionally. I think Ohio State runs the same danger Michigan had in the Orange Bowl last year. It's not the same as 2015. Ohio State knew they weren't going to be in the playoff in 2015. This was a Jimmy kick at the last minute. And even a lot of the ESPN personalities, after they got done lobbying for Alabama for 24 hours, even then concluded, well, we think they're going to pick Ohio State. So to get Jimmy kicked like that, I wonder where they're going to be at motivationally. And I think if they're motivated, they're dramatically better at the line of scrimmage than USC, and I think they will win that game by 7 to 10 points. If they're not motivated, then I think they're in trouble when you're facing a gunslinger of his talent. So I would not pick that game. I wouldn't bet it. I think it's a crapshoot of knowing where Ohio State is really at mentally. But beyond that, I think Iowa playing Boston College, they're playing a team with a very similar style, that wants to play football in a phone booth. And typically it's tough to beat Kirk Ferentz doing that. Michigan State's playing a statue quarterback that, just lost this same bowl game last year to Minnesota. And, their head coach, everybody knows, was trying to leave town. So I think they're far more motivated to be in that game than Washington State is. Northwestern, after going, 60 years without winning a bowl game, Pat Fitzgerald, I think, is won 2 of his last 3. I think Kentucky's a team that doesn't play a lot of great defense. I think that's a winnable game for the Wildcats. So I think we actually have some positive matchups. The only 2 I'm really worried about, like I said, Wisconsin on the road at Miami with a turnover-prone quarterback. And I think Purdue's defense I mean, they've got no clue what's about to hit them. I mean, he's a faster Pat White. I think that's a bad matchup. And then I think, where's Ohio State at mentally and emotionally? And I don't think we know that until kickoff of the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, Khalil Tate was good enough to keep Arizona in the game at the Coliseum against USC and make that a one-score game midway through the fourth quarter and give the Trojans all sorts of fits. He has set records.
I didn't mention Washington, Penn State, pardon me. I think Penn State matches up very well with Washington.
Yep.
Washington's not as explosive on offense as they were last year. Their defensive front is really good. Greg Gaines, Vita Vea, those guys are going to get drafted high next April. But with the way Penn State spreads you out and their skill position talent really makes it hard for you to get pressure on Trace McSorley. I think that's a really good matchup for Penn State.
Steve, I expected you to have a little bit more faith in your defense taking on a Khalil Tate. I know that you could have gotten a bit sick to your stomach watching the Michigan defense try to chase him around all afternoon. But at the same time, that 100th rated offense could have gotten awfully healthy against Rich Rod's defense.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad we don't have to answer that question. The one thing we have seen, and we've seen it the last 2 years with Ohio State, the one thing we've seen and it's really hard to say that a defensive coordinator whose last three defenses were number one, and number 3 in the nation.
Yeah.
Okay? Really tough to say, well, that guy's got a weakness. But if there's anything that Don Brown's defenses have struggled with, anything, and when I say struggled, that's a relative term, okay? But if there's anything they've struggled with, it's third and long situations, man-to-man coverage, DBs have their back turned, and a quarterback who can take off. And that's essentially the entire Arizona offense. So, yeah, I was concerned about that.
College football discussion gets no better than with Steve Day's Michigan podcast. Please join him on YouTube. I tell you, Steve, I check in from time to time and think I only have a minute or two to try to sort through your hour-long podcast to try to catch a few highlights, and then I find myself going back to catch more, and by the time I'm done, I've devoured the entire thing because it's that good. So we appreciate your effort on YouTube. Where else can we find you?
We put up the audio version only on iTunes as well, so that is very gracious, Mark. I really appreciate it. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you, man.
All right, Steve, we appreciate you stopping by, and always love to talk college football with you. You have a good day.
All right, anytime. Go Blue.